Hi everyone. Okay, so here we are. Now this is the beginning of the month that I've recorded this one. So the beginning of February. Now in February we're going to be talking about the hips all the way through this month. So we need to engage the legs in order to stabilize the hips. We'll also be working as well on the rest of the body, but our main focus will be the hips. Okay, so for this practice you're going to need 2 blocks. You'll need your belt and you need a blanket as well, just for extra bit of comfort. So grab those things if you haven't got them already, and then meet me back here. And then bring yourselves just down to sitting down on a block or two, and just bring yourselves into an easy cross-legged. So if you're not in an easy cross-legged, it doesn't feel particularly easy, then just grab your blocks and things around you, lift your seat up a little bit, pad yourself out, just so you make it a little bit more comfortable for yourself. Ideally, you want to have your knees either the same height or slightly lower than the hips. Okay, so once you've got yourself sorted, then we can just give our shoulders a little bit of a roll, have a little bit of a wriggle out. Make sure that your flesh on your bum, you can just pull it out a little bit to the sides, and so we feel as if we're more settled. Close your eyes. And you're allowing yourself just to arrive in your practice, first of all. So just pay attention to your breathing and just to your physical body. So notice whether the breathing is fast, slow, whether it feels shallow, labored. But just notice how it feels. And also noticing it as well on your physical form. So when you are breathing, is it up into the top part of the chest? Does it feel as if it's down towards your belly? Notice whether you feel as if the breathing is up near the face or in the throat. So again, just noticing, just being aware. And it may take a few breaths, but we're going to start just to bring that breathing down. So we bring it down more into the belly. And just with the eyes closed, maybe taking that focus inwards. So recognize, as I say, how you feel physically, mentally, emotionally. So when we're working with our hips, this is a water sign. Now, water sign are all about bringing in the new, or accepting change. And we're in the hips also as well, quite an emotional sign, really kind of sitting with our root of emotions. So making sure that we feel stable, or as best as we can be. So we know with all the things that are going on in the outside world, we just know that for a lot of things we have to just really accept the change. If we can't physically change them, we have to accept them, we have to take them on board. So this is where our practice will lie. Okay, so bringing the hands together. And just setting your intention for your practice. So making sure that it's a heartfelt intention that is solely for yourself. And then bringing the thumbs up just to the space between the eyes. Reaffirming your intention and then taking the hands up over the crown. So your intention is then out there. And drawing the hands back down towards your heart center. And then releasing the hands down to the legs. Okay, so just with the hands on the legs, just to stabilize, just take a little rock forwards and back, just to begin with, just to get the small of the back moving and just get the feel for the body, just feeling how tight it maybe feels or how easy it feels, just moving. And it's just a fairly simple movement, just tilting the pelvis forwards and back. And then when we feel that it starts to move, we can then bring in the rest of the spine. So just easing forward, easing back again. And then once we feel that we're all good there, then just bringing yourselves back to upright. And we're going to lose the block for now, unless the hips are really tight, and then you can just leave the blocks just under you. And I'm going to take our hand down to the floor. So right hand comes down, left arm coming up, taking it up and over. And then bring yourselves back up and over again. Over to the other side. And then back up and over. Give your shoulders, nice bit of a roll. And just easing out there, just pushing down with the hands so we keep the chest lifted. Feel as if the bottom is firmly rooted down, but we're lifting up, pulling up away from our hips. Okay, after the next exhalation, just going to bring yourselves around and we're going to take a couple of blocks, place them underneath your back to begin with. So as if you're wearing them up like a backpack. So the blocks want to finish up kind of pretty much level with your shoulders. So missing out the small of your back. Just going back over and just easing out over the blocks. Yeah, if it feels if it's too much or if it feels if you're straining the neck, place something just underneath your head. So let the arms fall out to the side so we feel open across the chest. Push away through the heels. Get the thigh muscles pulling up, thigh bone pushing down to the floor. Keep your tailbone tucking under. So nice and strongly tucking under. We feel the zipping up through the front of the body. So we've engaged the Mula Bandha, the first lock, the low lock in the body. So we feel we're drawing up, pulling up. Okay, and then the shoulders to roll back. So we're going to take a few breaths there. Now, this is not just to relax over, it is an active move. So keeping the legs nice and strong, keep the hips stable, keep the chest open. So a few breaths. Okay, bring the hands up towards the ceiling and then taking the arms back and stretching them back over the head. So it doesn't matter that the fingers aren't down to the floor. If you are, then that's great, but make sure that you feel as if you're pushing away from the floor to stretch the fingers back to the wall. Push away even more through the heels. Legs nice, strong, active. Hips active. Notice where the tailbone is. Keep it tucking under so we feel, again, that lift through the front of the body. Now point the toes. Feel as if the inner thighs are rolling in towards each other. Feel as if the big toes are pulling in towards each other. Nice strong action. Again, keep the tailbone tucking under. Take one more breath here. So inhale, exhale, and then bringing the arms down. Okay, either use the hands to push down or you can just roll over to the side to come up. So just push out through the heels and then relax the legs a little bit. Hands down, push down, come all the way up. Okay, grab hold of your blocks, move them out of the way. If you need to, you might just want to give yourself just a little bit of a cat stretch just to ease out of that if it felt a little bit much. Okay, so we have our two blocks again. We're going to take them wide this time. So it was long along your spine, wide across your bum. So lay yourself down first of all, legs in a crooked knee position. Take your blocks, place them underneath your bum, holding onto the edges of the block. So again, I'm missing out the small of my back. Tailbone is tucking under. I'm scooping in and feeling as if I'm drawing back on my belly. If you're about to zip up a really tight pair of jeans. So holding onto the blocks, push down, roll the shoulders right back, keep the chin in towards the chest, and then lengthen out through the legs. So we're going to just push away through those heels. I can work my big toes as if they're turning in towards each other. That's going to keep and feel as if the inner thighs are rolling in. So it's going to keep as if the knees then are looking up, the front of the legs are looking up towards the ceiling if we feel a slight inward rotation. Also gives us a broadening across the small of the back as well and across your buttocks a little bit. Okay, keep that drawing in, the zipping up, pulling up. And then from here, we can again take the arms up I'm going to point the toes, but still keeping my big toes together. Take the arms back over the head. So hands will easily come to the floor this time for most of you. So just, again, feel as if you're pushing away from the floor with the thumbs and stretching the fingers back. So we feel a long stretch through the whole of the front of the body. And also that small of the back is getting a lovely stretch out here. So holding a few breaths. Okay, bring the hands back down. So keep the pose active all the time coming out of it, not just allowing yourself to relax. Bring the legs in, so into that crooked knee position, ideally with the ankles underneath the knees. So we're going to keep the shoulders pressing down, keep the belly drawing back, and then start to lift your hips. We can then slide the blocks just out to the side. Bring the hands underneath, so interlocking the fingers. So I'm just lifting one shoulder, lifting the other, pressing the arms down into the floor, pressing my feet down into the floor. So I feel as if my knees are heading further away from my head, my thigh muscles are pulling up, and I'm raising my hips. I'm also aiming to raise the chest up towards the chin. Okay, after your next exhalation, release the shoulders and slowly start to bring it down, just easing all the way down. Now from here, because we've started to open up the hips a little bit, you're not wanting to bring your knees right in towards the chest. So I'm just going to get you to rock the legs just over from side to side. Okay, so once we feel as if we're, and this will just help to ease out a little bit in the back as well. So you don't want to just shock the body too much just by drawing the knees right in. So you can, once we've just made sure that we've got that little bit of release there in the back, everything is good, then you can always just draw your knees in. Okay, from here, just bring yourself up to sitting. And then from here, you're just going to come over just onto your heels. We're going to sit back into Varasana. So take your 2 blocks if you need them, place them so the blocks are level with your ankles, and then sit back. Now, if that's really easy for you, if you feel as if there's nothing going on at all, then you can take a block out. And if you feel, and on some of you, this'll be, you won't feel much going on. So again, take your block out, but keep the integrity of the pose. So keep it so we feel as if those inner thighs are pulling up, the knees are heading forward, their feet are firmly pressing down to the floor. And we have a line down, so we're not splaying out with the ankles out to the side. It's just in one nice straight line. So pressing down into the toes, you can press down into the toes to begin with. Make sure that the toes are all down, pressing down onto the floor. Keep your belly drawing back, keep the chest lifted. Remember that tailbone is tucking under. So we're still feeling this nice stretch out. Press down then with the fingers just into the floor. Roll your shoulders back, keeping the chest lifted. Okay, from here, bringing your hands forward, interlock the fingers, turning the hands over. Now remember here, this is where we keep this area tucked in. So from here, just taking the arms up. So taking a nice long stretch, make sure the rib cage stays in, and we're reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. So notice how it feels. Keep your ears in line with your arms. Keep the weight of your tailbone pushing down. Strengthen the legs and the feet are pushing down. Okay, after your next exhalation, bringing the hands back down. So we're going to turn the hands over as if you're trying to push the heel of the hand away. And we're going to place them, so we're going to come up onto your knees for a moment, place the hands down, and then gently just taking a little rock forwards and back. So we're just starting to get a little bit of movement as well, just into the wrists. Now, some of you, depending on your flexibility or maybe your age, you'll start to sit the bottom back towards the heels. So if this is not really challenging at all for you, then you take your hands further away as you sit back. But you want to keep the whole of the hand pressing down into the mat. So feel a nice stretch going along the forearms, inside of the forearms. Great stretch out. See if we can still keep, if your bottom is down, see if we can keep it right down towards the block. Okay, so when we've taken that stretch there, again, then we sit back onto the block, making sure that we feel as if the front of the thighs are looking up towards the ceiling, knees looking straight ahead, tailbone tucking down, we're feeling the lift. Arms straight out in front, change the interlock this time, turning the hands over, then again taking the arms up and over the head. And then bringing your hands forward and down. Okay, give the shoulders a little bit of a roll out. And then we're going to be coming over onto our backs. This is where you're going to be needing your belt for this one. So grab your belt, and you want to have your belt not with a loop in it. So if it has got a loop, just leave your loop just right at one end. We're not needing that. We're just using the full bit onto the belt. So laying yourself down. And we're going to be taking the right leg up first. So bring your right leg in and hook the belt so it's going across the ball of the foot. Start to straighten that leg up, so holding on. Now, if you notice, my shoulders are off the floor at the moment and my head is lifted. So take yourself back down, pull your shoulders back to the floor. Now, from here, so making sure that we're nicely stretching out in the back of the leg. So you want to be able to feel that stretch. Now, I'm going to straighten out through the left leg and notice if you feel as if this hip is, the raised leg hip is lifting or anything. So if it needs to, take it, give yourself a little bit more belt in order to keep that leg straight. Okay, so work it where you feel that it's right for you. So we're holding the leg here just for about 3 breaths. Just 1. 2. 3. Okay, and then we can bring that leg down. Apologies there if you heard my belly rumbling. So bring that leg all the way back down. Okay, so from here, bring the legs back in again, crook knee position, and then taking hold of the left. So push through the ball of the foot as you take that leg up, and then we can start just to straighten out just with our right leg this time. So again, making sure that we keep nice bit of space just in the hips and that the back of the leg is nice and open. So really feel as if the legs are working. You want to feel as if the thigh muscle is pulling up still, the thigh bone pushing away, exactly the same as the leg which is along the floor. So again, holding here, you've got your 3 breaths holding. Okay, and then we can bring that leg down. So push away through the heels again, just take a moment there. And then we're going back again into legs being in a crooked knee position. This time we're going to keep the left leg in a crooked knee position. Bring your right leg up. And you'll find then that you can bring that leg a little bit further in. So stabilizing through pushing through the left leg. Feel the opening up a little bit more. And again, just holding here. So make sure your shoulders are not lifted off the floor. Make sure they're down. Push out a little bit more through the heel. Really drawing down if we can. Okay, we can then release and bring that leg down. So keep it straight as you bring it all the way down. And then bring that leg into a crook knee position. So it's back just to join the other one. Draw your left leg in, hook it round. So straighten the leg. You can have it slightly further away to begin with and then start to draw that leg in. So wherever you feel is appropriate for you. It may be here. You may be right over the head with it. So whatever feels right for you. As long as, remember, you're stabilizing through the bent leg, and we're also pushing away through the hip. We keep the thigh muscle pulling up, and we keep the thigh bone pushing away. So we're just aiming just to draw that leg in the whole time. Again, this is where you've got your 3 breaths, but making sure that you do feel as if there is something going on, especially the back of the knee. We tend to kind of bend and sink into there, so I want to really feel as if it's open. Okay, and then we can keep that leg straight as you bring it all the way down. And then again, you can bring the leg into crooked knee position. Now we can just move the belt just over to one side just for a moment. Now this time you're going to grab hold of your right leg. You're going to aim to just pull that leg in. We're bringing the hand in on the inside of the knee, and then it's going to the outside of the foot, and you're working just to pull that leg down. Now obviously if that's not working, then grab hold of your belt again, and you can just hoop it round, hoop it a big loop, and then you're hanging on to it. But you're aiming for this knee to come down just towards the shoulder on that side. So remember, bent leg is stabilizing. So we're going to be holding there. I'm going to hold here just slightly longer. Okay, so we've got our 5 breaths in there. Straighten the leg up, and then bringing that leg down. So once it's hit the floor, just take a moment and then bring that leg back in. So this leg, the right leg now, is going to be our stabilizing leg. So then from here, we're going to draw the left leg in. So we're squeezing it in towards the body. Bring the hand in on the inside of the knee, and then take it round to the outside of the foot. Again, right leg is stabilizing, and we're drawing down. So remember, if it wasn't working, you hoop your belt round, just make a large hoop. So if your hand was here, then it can grab hold. Otherwise, aim pulling that leg down. So be careful not that you're not pulling right up and shortening in the waist. Aim for the left hip to push further away, and we're just holding here. Again, you've got your 5 breaths. Okay, so from here, then release on that leg, stretch it up, bring that leg down. And then after the leg is down, you might want to just bring that leg in. Just again, into a crook knee position. Just let the leg settle just for a moment. Okay, so from here, you're going to take your hands and just place them underneath your bum. You're going to draw both legs in towards the chest. Stretch, bringing them in as tight in as you can. Stretch the legs up towards the ceiling, pushing away through the heels. So again, keep the strength in the legs. The legs muscles are pulling up, and the thigh bone is pushing away to keep the legs as straight as we can. Also, when we push those thigh bones away, it does help to kind of create a little bit more space, just right up into that hip crease. Now, keeping the feet flexed, and we're just going to bring the right leg down towards the floor. Then from there, we're bringing the leg up. We're going to cross in the middle, bringing the other leg down to the floor. Cross in the middle. Cross in the middle. So we're keeping going with a scissor-like action. Now we can start just to speed this up a little bit. Each time foot comes down to the floor, the other leg should be at its full range. Keep your belly drawing back. So hands under the bottom are just going to give you a little bit of support there. It's going to help keep the tailbone tucking under. Okay, and bring both legs up. So both legs up towards the ceiling. This time, flex your feet. Sorry, you're going to extend the feet. So toes pointing away. Same thing. So let the leg come down, the leg is up, and then crossing. Now, if you want to intensify this a little bit more, you're going to lift the head, lift the top part of your back away from the floor. Remember, keep that lower part of your belly drawing back as much as you can. So focus on that movement from the hips. Also, the belly core is just stabilizing here. Keep the legs strong, so don't lose that integrity on the legs. Okay, and then up, and then we can bring the legs down. So slowly just bringing them down to the floor. Okay, so once we're here, bring the legs into a crook knee position, a little bit wider than your hips. Let the legs just rock over again from side to side. Once we've freed off a little bit in the hips, grab hold of your belts again. So we're going to go back into left leg being bent, right leg drawing in, hook your belt just around the ball of the foot, keep the head back to the floor, and then lifting that leg up. Now on here, on this one, we're going to start just to draw the leg in if we can a little bit more. So keep your shoulders down to the floor to begin with, to keep the arms straight. Now I'm going to draw back a little bit through the belly. We're going to lift the chest, see if we can draw the leg in a little bit more. If you are able to, you can maybe lose the belt altogether, and you can hold onto the foot, and you feel as if you're drawing your forehead in towards the shin. Yes, in towards the shin. Okay, some of you will be fine. You'll be able to do that. They'll all be good. Okay, some of you are just, as mere mortals here, are just still waiting to aim to get in that direction. Okay, so we've just held here a few breaths, and then we can release back down and bring that leg down. Keep it straight all the way first before it comes down, and then bring that leg back in. So again, then onto the other side. So we're going to draw the leg in, lift the leg up. So you can take your belt if you need it just to begin with. Draw the leg down. So make sure the shoulders feel as if they're down towards the floor. Stabilizing through this leg which is on the floor. Excuse me. So now that we're here, we're going to then start just to bring and peel ourselves up away from the floor. If you know you don't need your belt, grab hold, just easing in. And again, with the pulling up through the top part of your back, belly is drawing back, forehead is coming in towards your shin. So hold a couple of breaths here. Okay, and then release back down and bring that leg all the way down. Okay, this time just straighten out as well with your right leg. Push away through the heels. Bring your arms back over the head, stretching away. Bringing the hands back. Draw the legs back in again in that crooked knee position. And then this time keep your left leg where it is. Draw your right leg in. It goes off slightly to the side. Ankle bone just on top of the left knee, just above the left knee. So we're here with it. We can use our other hand just to help ease away. Now watch when you're doing that, it doesn't shift right in your hips. So you can keep your left hand just onto the hip, push the right hip away. So that leg, so remember, we're not just aiming just for the knee there. The movement is made from the hip. So just easing that leg out a little bit to the side. If you know you're really flexible in the hips, you may be okay just to bring the leg in, just to hold at the back of the leg. You can then use your elbow just to nudge that knee out of the way. So everybody's going to have a different range on that. Okay, and then bring the leg down. Let the leg release. So it goes back down just to join the other one. So let's have a go on the other side. So we can draw the leg up and in. We can place the ankle bone just onto the leg. So I'm going to take my right hand just into that crease at the top of the right leg just to push away. But also my left hand is just nudging away. So kind of thinking the inner thigh, just edging towards the outer thigh. So just easing out so we stay open in the hips. Notice if you're quite flexible in the hips, then you can start to draw the leg in. You can maybe hold at the back of the leg, use your elbow just to nudge that knee out a little bit more to the side. So whatever stage you're at, just making sure that it feels comfortable, that there's no pain at all in the knees. Okay, and then releasing that leg down and release the other leg down. Again, straighten out with the legs. You might want to just take a little stretch over the head. And then placing the hands down by your sides and just push yourselves up to sitting. Okay, you're going to come over now just onto your hands and knees. So we can just lose that belt for a moment, just out of the way. We're going to be coming into Ekapada Raja Kapottanasana, or a variation of it. So this is your pigeon pose. So have things around you that you need. If you need your blocks just up at the front edge of your mat, so have them there handy. If you do, you can use a block to go underneath the hip that's maybe lifted on the floor, or you can use a blanket there, just something to prop in. So from the hands and knees, we're going to be taking our right leg back. Big stretch back. Push through the left foot, but down onto the floor. Now draw your knee in, so the knee is coming behind the right wrist. Turn the foot in, so we're getting that open feeling in the hips. From here, sliding back just with your left leg. Now notice again, there's a big dip, just a big, huge amount of space here underneath my bum. So you can use either a block, you can use a bit of cushioning, just anything you need. Now we're not wanting to kind of just really rest down onto it, so keep it level, keep pushing back with the top of the foot, so keeping your hips level and just central, just to the top edge of your mat. Hands are just going down, we're pressing down. Now what I'm doing with my hands, I'm pressing into the floor to push back. So you'll feel the stretch just going into the bum cheek and just along that leg. So I'm just going to hold there just for 3 breaths. Now, while you're holding here for your 3 breaths, make sure on that back leg that the toes are pressing into the floor, that the shin is pressing down. You're not rolling to the outer edge of that leg. You want to aim to keep it more in towards the midline. So feel as if everything is pulling in. And even if you kind of focus now on trying to squeeze the legs together a little bit more, you'll feel that it starts to shift the feeling and the sensation to where it should be. So that'll just be into the hips, into your glutes, your bum cheeks, and into maybe the outside of that leg. Okay, so that's about your 3 breaths worth there. So we're going to then just come forward. And again, just aim to push through your arms. So again, we're taking the weight back and it's pushing back into the hips and you'll feel it again into your bum cheeks. Okay, so then we can come back up. We're going to just move these out of the way. Hands are down, tuck your toes under, and then lifting back So we just come up into Ardha Mukha Svanasana. So just taking that little stretch back, pulling back as much as we can. Make sure your ears are in line with your arms. Make sure that your belly is drawing back. Legs are nice and strong. Open up in the backs of the knees. Pulling up again on the thigh muscles. Pulling back with the thigh bone. Okay, so from here, come down again to the knees. Flatten your right foot down. Make sure it is pressing down into the floor. The shin is pressing down, pulling up away from the knees. Then taking your left leg back, draw in. So we take the knee behind the wrist. We can then start to turn that foot out a little bit. So that will turn out in your hip. And then from here, sliding back if we can, just with our right foot. Again, big gap underneath your bum cheek. So take whatever bits of padding you need to get yourselves level to begin with. Now from this, probably pushed that under a bit too much there. That's it. Okay, so make sure that you feel central. Now, not only are you feeling it in this bum cheek of the bent leg, you will also feel it here. So when we think about working the hips, it's not all just about taking the legs out to the side. It is all about the hip flexors as well. So right up here, this has a really big impact on what's happening above it. So we need to be strong in the legs. We really need to work them. We need to get the length on them to really free off what's happening in your chest. And it'll feel as if it's lifting up as well through the belly, the more that we can get that stretch. So pushing back right to the foot, edging it down. So again, if we're, we are feeling it on that bent leg side, bum cheek, we can feel that there. We can feel the stretch, but also right up into the inner thigh of the straight leg. Okay, so we're here, and then we're going to start just to bring it forward. Bring your forearms down, bringing the hands down. And again, think of pushing back. So we have our 3 breaths there. Okay, and then bring ourselves back up again. So we're going to remove the blocks and things from there. And then we can start to press the hands down, tuck the toes under. We're going to go back through Ardha Mukha Svanasana, taking that leg back. Again, level up so you feel as if your body is nicely evenly stretched out. So chest is heading back. But think of those legs nice and strong, pulling up on the thigh muscles right up towards the hips and the thigh bone pushing back. Hips lifting back. So if you imagine someone has got hold of you by your hips and they're pushing you back even more. Get the length out of the small of the back. We feel a clearing in the space just at the top of the hips. At the top of the legs, clearing the hips. Okay, so from here, look forward to the top edge of your mat. You're going to be lifting up with your right leg. Now, from here, we're going to start to bring that leg forward. It's going to go the outside of the right hand. Okay, big stride forward. We're going to place our hands down onto the floor. You're going to keep that back leg nicely charged. So push right through the back of the thigh and the back of the knee. Now with here, we're just going to have this foot, so it's on the outside of the hand. So again, it's that similar action to when we were on the floor, when we were laid on our backs and we were drawing the leg in, but we did have our the other leg bent. I'll give you that. Okay, so just if we sink a little bit lower, think of your bum heading down, so we get a little bit more intense stretch at the top of the straight leg on that thigh, but also sinking nice and deep into the hip rotators just on this right leg. So one more breath here. Okay, and then we bring the leg back. So maybe take a little rock and then squeeze into your belly, lifting up, taking that leg back. Okay, so once we're back here, again, Think of the drawing back, hips are pulling right back, thigh muscles pulling up, thigh bone pushing back, clearing the space up into the hips. Take your left leg up. From here, look forward. Bring that leg forward, outside of that left hand. Charging back with our right leg. So keep right up onto the heel, push back through the thigh, back of the thigh, squeezing in a little bit in towards the belly. Think of your chest moving forward. You're going to start to feel it a little bit more there. So keep the strength through that back leg. Really keep it charged. Sink your bum down maybe a little bit lower if that feels okay. Okay, just one more breath here. Okay, so again, then we can start just maybe to rock forwards and back just ever so slightly, and then we're going to start just to bring that leg back. Join us in Ardha Mukha Svanasana. So again, think of the chest heading back, think of the legs nice and strong, hips moving up to the highest point. Someone's got hold of your hips and they're pulling you back by your hips. And then come down to the knees. Sit back onto the heels, or you can place a block just between your legs if you want to. Okay, so we're just here sat back in Varasana again. Let's give the shoulders a little bit of a roll. Now again, turn the hands out, just pushing the hands down. Keep your bottom firmly rooted back towards your heels. So if you're struggling, you can just take the hands further back. Okay, so we've taken 3 breaths there, and bringing the hands away. Now this time just bring your hands back behind, roll your shoulders back, keep the chest lifted. Then bring your chin in towards the chest, come forward and placing the forehead down. From there, start to lift your bottom up, bring the arms up, so rolling up towards the crown of your head as you take the arms up and over. Now from here, see if we can bring the bottom back down, rolling more towards the forehead, but keeping the arms lifted. And then let the hands come back down and slowly rolling up, coming all the way back up. Okay, let the hands release. Just give your shoulders a nice little bit of a roll. Now we're going to make our way up to standing. So if you want to bring yourselves up and Uttanasana. So in Uttanasana, we're going to take the width of our mat. So placing your feet out just by the sides of the mat, hands just pull them back and then taking your arms up over your head. Big long stretch. Feel as if the thighs are drawing in towards each other. Now from this stretch up, bring your hands onto your hips. So I'm going to turn this way around again, so I'll be at that distance. Where my little fingers are, kind of right at the crease at the top of the legs. So squeeze in, pull up, get more of a lift on the shoulders, get the shoulders rolled back. So we're clearing this space as much as we can here. From this clearing, from this space here, then we're going to start to come forward. So keep the weight pulling back into the heels, lengthen forward with the chest, come forward, come forward, come forward, come forward, come forward. Now our hands are nicely, tightly right in there, right in. So I've cleared this space here, so there's no compression really in there. I'm working to dig in and I'm starting to pull. So again, I'm clearing that space, coming down. Let the hands come down to the floor. Then wherever they come to, you're going to bring the hands onto your elbows and we're just drawing down so we feel the length going through the sides of the body. Again, hips are up nice and high. The torso is hanging down. So it's more of a resting for the brain when the head is down.
Strength on the legs. Let the legs do the work. Pull up on your thigh muscles. Push back with the thigh bone. Make sure you feel the weight just into the heels, and then maybe take it slightly forward just onto the ball of the foot, so we feel that the weight is even. Keep those hips as if they're facing up towards the ceiling. And then release the hands. Bring the hands back into the hips. Now you can soften your knees if you need to, but otherwise lift the head, lift the chest, strong legs as you come up. Okay, good. Bring the legs back together. So just take a few breaths here. Okay. So stand facing the long way on your mat. Take your right foot forward, left leg back, and keep the heel down. So as if you're set up, we're going into Virabhadrasana 1. So you want to make sure that your hips are facing forward. Okay, so from here, take your arms up, reach the arms up as high up as you can, and then bending that front leg. Make sure that your hips are staying level, so they want to aim to be facing the front edge of your, oh, I'm all wobbly, the front edge of your mat. If the back heel needs to lift a little bit, then let it lift. Okay, so it's a really strong one for focusing on pushing back into that back heel to bump that left hip forward. So with the arms reaching right up. Okay, so from here, we're changing it and we're switching it into Virabhadrasana 2. So let the arms come wide and, oh, nearly coming over, and pull the hip back. So from here, that hip is turning, so the body is sideways on. So ideally, we want to have the wobbly. Sorry about that. So ideally, we want to have the instep of your foot in line with the heel of the front foot. So keep your shoulders lined up over the hips and keep the length through the sides of the body. Okay, it just goes to show that I'm human. I'll wobble as well, so sorry about that. Okay, so arms are out to the sides. Nice and strong with the legs. And then we're going to start just to straighten out on that front leg. Okay, from here, bring your left hand back down onto the left leg. Turn so your right palm is facing up. Join your index finger and thumb, spread out with the other fingers. We're going to come into reverse warrior, and as we come into it, that's where we're going to bend that front leg. So start to raise your arm as the leg starts to bend, and then we can look up into it. So we're getting that long stretch out through the side of the body. Be strong in this back leg. Okay, from here, come back again, Virabhadrasana 2, straightening out with the arms. Inhale, exhale, taking it into Parsvakonasana. So come forward. Now the hand, if you've got your blocks handy, so they'll be near the top edge of your mat, place your hand onto there. Push the leg back against the arm. So turning, and we're tucking this lower bum cheek in. Tuck your lower shoulder blade in. So tucking under, tucking in, turning the chest, turning, 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 and then the arm going over the head. Strong in that back leg, so really feel that we're lifting up just away and out of the hips. Clearing that space. Okay, and then bring it back up. Virabhadrasana 2, and then spin it back round again into Virabhadrasana 1. From here, straighten out with the leg, and then hands back onto the hips. You might want to just shorten your stance a little bit, and then step it in. Okay, so from here, just stand, roll your shoulders back. So just stood into Uttanasana. Okay, and then are we ready for the other side? So, and I'll see if I wobble equally on that side as well. So you want to have your foot forward, one leg back, and the heel in line. No, you don't. You don't need to have it in line with the instep at all. We're doing Virabhadrasana 1, aren't we?
So, so just turning that foot, keep the heel down. Front leg is forward. Right then, so just draw the hips so you're facing the short edge of your mat. So from here, bringing your arms up and then start to bend that front leg. So we're here in Virabhadrasana 1. Strong in the back leg, really charge it, feeling lifting up away from the hips the whole time. Okay, we start to then change it into Virabhadrasana 2. So we go wide with the arms, we open up with the hips. This is where we can change our footing slightly to make sure the heel is in line with the instep of the back foot. And then turning, just looking beyond that middle finger. Again, still feel as if you're lifting up away from the hips the whole time. The front of the body should feel a strong pull, a lifting. Okay, so we're going to then start to straighten out with the front leg. We're going to go into reverse warrior. So we're going to drop that back hand down, turn so the palm is facing up, join the index finger and thumb. Then as we start to bring the arm up, we're starting to bend our front leg, and then we're easing ourselves into our reverse warrior. Okay, so from here, bring yourselves back up, Virabhadrasana 2. Inhale, exhale, lengthen over. So take your 1, your 2, 3, whatever blocks that you need. So when your block's on the side, hand coming on the outside of that leg, push the leg back against the arm, turning, pulling round with your hips, turning your torso, turning even more, and then with the arm going over the head. So look for that diagonal line in the body. We're turning, clearing that space in the hip. It should feel quite comfortable on the bent leg side as well as you stretch your arm. Okay, so now 3 breaths. Bring ourselves back up. We're going to turn it again, going back into Virabhadrasana 1. And this time bring your hands all the way down to the floor. So pivot on your back foot and then placing the hands down and take that leg back. So we go back into Ardha Mukha Svanasana again. Okay, right up onto the toes, come down, put the feet down, and then sit back again, just into Varasana. Okay, taking a few breaths. Okay, so grab yourselves a couple of blocks. Some of you might not need 2, it might only just be 1 that's needed. So if you place your blocks with a point at the front, I'm just going to use the 1. Now, if you take it so your legs are going over, they're going over to the left-hand side. So I'm mirror imaging you, so I'm hoping that works out okay. So going over to that side, so we should feel slightly more level when we put the block underneath rather than maybe being no block at all. Some of you might just need the edge of a blanket put in, but your hips want to be level. So if you look, the difference, if I'm not on there, can you see, you could tell on the white band of my leggings, so that's not my hips level. So you want to just push that in, move it over slightly, that's it, so I'm level, so I'm onto that. Okay, so we're holding here, pressing down, and then we're going to make this into a twist. So we're going to we're moving away from the side that the legs have gone to. So I'm coming across and taking the other hand back behind and turning and looking back.
Now this hand which is onto the leg is pushing down into it to keep the height in the body. You want to fit, there's a tendency for this side again, if you look, that flicks up. So you want to really feel as if it is grounded, really feel as if it is pulling down. Okay, and we can turn and we can look back. And then we come back to the center. Okay, we're going to go over to the other side. So if we come forward and then just flip our legs over, and then again, just sit back just onto the block. So you see, you need to work a little bit just to get the hips, again, just to level out. And then we're going to move away from the feet. So we're going to bring one hand back behind, the other hand is going onto the leg. Push it down into the leg. So you're not pulling yourself around, because that way you could hurt your back. You're pulling yourself out of your range. So press down, and then using the breath, just to turn and to look back. Just be aware of that bum cheek. You're not wanting to bring it through with you. You just want to keep it down so we feel the stretch away from the hips. Okay, and then come back again to the center. Now we're going to go back over to the first side. So taking yourselves back over to there. So we've gone back to this point. Now you're either holding here and we're doing the same twist again, or if you're able to, you're bringing that leg out. So one foot will just be going straight back and the other foot is just up against it. So we can either be here. Now, if you're here in this position and you're able to sit like this, you may be able to sit without a block there at all. It may feel comfortable to be able to sit like that. Okay, so if that is the case, and you can even have your foot out to the side if that is accessible to you. Okay, if you're okay here, again, we're either working into the twist and moving round. If you know that you're a little bit more flexible, you may want to then bring that leg up and rock it and bring it across. So the ankle bone is heading to come up onto your thigh. Now, if that is the case, if you're able to get to there, then again, we can work into the twist. If you want to take it even further, you can bring the hand round, grab hold of your foot. That is also going to help to keep that hip down when you take your hand across and you start to work in your twist. Remember, push it down rather than pulling to get round. So we either have here holding onto the foot, we either have it where the foot is here and you're still working into the twist, or you have it with the legs crossed and you're onto a block. So making it so it's accessible to you in that twist. Make sure that you find a place that you're happy with. Again, it wants to feel challenging but sweet at the same time. So you don't want to feel like anything is going to pop or anything that it's really, really screaming at you. Again, make it comfortable. Okay, so that's probably long enough. Come back, and then the same on the other side. So we can either take the legs across like this, sit this way, and work into your twist. You may find that you can bring the block away or even sit with the block in, but have one leg here. And again, leveling out as best you can, and then work into your twist and turning and looking back. If you know that you're a little bit more flexible, doesn't work for me quite so well on this side, so you would bring the leg up, again, as if you're opening the hips, you bring that ankle bone just over onto the thigh, you bring your hand round, you can either catch the foot, doesn't work for me catching the foot on this side, but I can still work into getting a good twist out of it. So by pressing down and then turning and looking back. Again, so you're either here, you're here with the foot down, working into a twist, keeping this hip down, or you have the feet, one crossing the other, and you may be up on a block. So leveled out and then turning and looking back. Okay, So hopefully you found your space and your place in that one. And then if you want to bring yourselves back to the center, just sit with the legs stretched out just for a moment. Now, those that know where they're going with headstand, it would be a nice time now to put a headstand into the practice. So I'm just going to run through it just to go up. I'm going to show you a variation, just taking the legs out wide and bringing the legs in. So if you're not familiar with a headstand, you might want to watch one of the other videos of showing you how to go up into a headstand. If you're familiar with a shoulder stand, then you will all join up in a shoulder stand. Okay. So I'm going to take myself up first of all, just to show those who want to go up, just a variation. So 2 variations here. Another one with your feet in Varasana or legs out in wide angle. So you can hold here for a little bit longer. Just pause the video if you want to. When you're coming back down, aim to keep one leg up and bring one leg down. And you can work it through the other leg. So I'm just going to come down on the other leg just so those that are not doing headstand are not bored. Okay, and once you're down, just take a couple of breaths. When you come up, remember you want to have the hands at the back of the head. Push the head back into the hands and draw your chin in as you feel as if the hands are just sliding up the back of the head. Again. So I've just done it twice. You're going to do that 3 times in total. If you're there with that, just gives the neck a nice little bit of a stretch out. Okay, so for the ones who are going into Savasana, into your shoulder stand, again, if you want to, use the wall, so you can take your feet over to the wall. If you're not using the wall, then by all means, you don't have to use the wall. So make sure that your setup is right. So you're going to make sure that your central legs are nice and strong. Take yourself, just lie yourself down. If you are using the wall to take the feet back over to, if you stretch your arms back, it works for me if my fingers are just about out of reach. And then when I take my legs over, my feet go to the wall quite comfortably. Okay, otherwise hands are down by your sides and just drawing your shoulders back. Stretch out through the legs, and then you might want to just have the feet extended. Nice and strong on the legs still. So pulling up as much as you can. Straight up. Hands onto the back. So you're just pulling up with the legs as if the legs are just have a noose around the ankles and you're pulling up. So again, you're going to be here with your variations. So if you are taking your legs out wide, I'm going to run out of space because I've got the wall. So if you are taking the legs out wide, not just allowing them to fall out to the sides, control it as those legs come down to the side. I'll just show you one side, seeing as the other leg is at the wall. So control that. Again, you can bring the legs in So you'd have that leg joining in. Push the soles of the feet together, knees out wide, hands onto the back to keep that lift. Then you can straighten the legs back up again. So you can hold here just for a few breaths in each. And then if it does feel okay, flex your feet, bring the legs coming over the head. Now, if the legs are over the head, I'm going to slowly start just to come out of this so I can speak better. But if the legs are over the head, make sure that there's a good lift between your shoulders and your hips. So you want to feel as if there's plenty of space there, plenty of space so the body can breathe well, so it can move well. We're getting plenty of extension along the spine with it as well. So think when the legs are over into Halasana with the feet either at the wall or coming down to the floor. You want to get those hips up nice and high. Again, clearing this space. If you can imagine when the legs are over, it's kind of like this position. So you want to keep as much space here as you can. And still with the legs, when you have the toes just touching the floor or whether they're at the wall, still feel as if the thigh muscles are pulling up towards the hips, thigh bones pushing away. And that will really keep the strength in the legs. That way it will help to really lift the hips as well and keep any unnecessary weight moving from the cervical spine. So you don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on the neck, and it'll help, again, keeping that length and building strength in your spine. Okay, so once you're done there, slowly start to roll yourself down. Remember, when you're rolling down, you want to still keep the strength and that integrity of the pose until you're all the way down. It's not just a collapsing down. Really keep the strength, control it, bring your feet down to the floor. Okay, so once we're down, and again, we're just going to, you'll be in this position once you're just down onto the floor. So just taking a few moments there. Now push away through the heels. Turn the feet out to the sides. Aim to draw the legs in so we have the soles of the feet together. Let the hands just be by the sides, inner arms and palms facing up. Push down the back of the head so we can just get the shoulder blades to come under that little bit more. Make sure we don't have a huge gap underneath the small of the back here. If that does happen, you'll have your blanket and things handy where you can always just put a little bit of something under there, just a little bit lower than the small of your back, and it will help just to keep the length just in the small of the back, so we can just hold it there. So I'm going to take a few breaths here. And just allow yourself, just this time now, just to release, just to let go. We're only going to hold here just a couple more breaths. Okay, and then you can start just to straighten out with the legs. Push away through the heels. Drawing the toes back up towards the head. And from here, we can always, if you want to just bring your legs in, just take a little rock over from side to side. You might want to just rock to bring yourselves up to sitting, just to be able to grab all your blankets and everything around you, just to make sure that you feel comfortable just to lie down in Shavasana. Okay, now in Shavasana, once we get ourselves into the pose, we just stay completely still. Completely still. Allow that just to be your time, just for the body to process everything that you've just done. So don't feel that this time now, right, that's it, and I'm out the door. Take this time, even if you just take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes here. But take this time, let the body process. So when you're in the pose, stretch out through the legs, let the feet fall out to the sides, let the arms fall out, so inner arms and palms are facing up. Now in the pose, there's nothing to do apart from just to lie there, just to close your eyes and to simply breathe. Just let the body release and let go. If any of the distractions or anything come into the head, just as soon as you recognize they're there, just again, bring it back just to the breathing and just release and let go. Now, just for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to close the session now. So if you want to just stay there for longer, then by all means, just stay there for longer. Ideally, if I had the chance just to lay there longer after a practice, I would. Okay. So you can either pause me and come back to me in a few minutes, or we can finish the session now if you do happen to be busy. So if you're joining me back up to sitting, you want to just have your palms together with your chin in towards the chest. Just being aware of how you feel, just compared to how you were at the beginning of the session. Noticing the body, your mind, your spirit. Bring thoughts back of your intention. And also, if you carried a positive affirmation with you through your practice, just bringing that to mind. And to close the session, taking the hands up over the crown. Slowly start to draw down past the Ajna chakra, your intuitive center, Vishuddha. You speak your truth and listen well. The Anahata, your center for love and compassion. Manipura, giving you your will and your drive. Svadhisthana, new beginnings, creativity and change. Muladhara, for your strength and your stability. Just bringing your hands back to the Anahata chakra. So the center for love and compassion and for kindness. So always making sure that you hold a place there for yourself. Gently blink the eyes open. Namaste. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the session. So first of our 4 weeks focusing just on the hips. Okay, so also it starts to bring out lots of emotions in the body because it is the seat of our emotions as well. But also that new life, new beginnings, we may feel more creative and walking with a bit more of a springy now step as well. So, yeah, which we need right now. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you next week.
Enjoy yourselves.